Hi, thank you for watching Path to Purpose Soul Conversation with Yang. So today, guys, where I am? I'm at Glastonbury. It's a very mystical place. It's a couple of ley lines, line crossing in this very mystical town, and there's so much energy, vibration here. I have this very amazing lady sitting next to me, Rita. So nice to see you again. I met Rita last year at the medicine festival. I'm blown away by her amazing presentation. Actually, in the woods, there was hundreds of people presenting your presentation, and your teaching. It's really touching my heart.
Thank you.
And today is really my honor to sitting next to your home and your beautiful paintings around, and have a talk with Rita. So who is Rita Hraiz? Rita Hraiz actually been learning ageless wisdom, cellular psychology, cellular philosophy, esoteric philosophy for past 28 years. And then she also hosts Dharmakaya retreat for past 18 years over the secret land, different places, share all this ancient wisdom. And you, at the moment, you offer wisdom, awakening to the grace
training. Different trainings,
and also shamanic training, as
telepathic
well.
wisdom,
exactly, different training. And also you are amazing artist, a visionary artist, and also a fashion brand, which I'm actually wearing at the moment. It's a beautiful,
thank you.
Yeah, very, very beautiful fashion, rooted by the color psychology.
That's it.
Yeah. So today we're gonna came across some of Rita's amazing teachings, and also explore secret sexuality, and also White Tantra. So I can't wait for this amazing topic we're gonna come across. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to share with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been to study all the age wisdom, Dharmakaya, Mahamudras for past such a long time. I was wondering if you can give us a little bit definition of this
what
wisdom.
This means.
Yes.
Thank you.
How does it fit into our divinity plan in this golden age of Aquarius?
Well, it's this new age is coming, this golden age, and we're all preparing for it, and how it fits in. So, you know, by the way, I wanted, just before I even get into anything, I do want to start off by saying these aren't what I consider my teachings. These are the ageless wisdom teachings coming from, you know, these very awakened emanations of the master. You know, that same teacher, that's the Buddha, the Christ, Krishna, Shiva, the teachings of the Tao, they were all actually coming from the same stream of consciousness, the consciousness of the central spiritual sun, coming from the one, what we call God.
Right.
Okay, so I don't take claim of these teachings. I'm not making up as I go along, and I haven't channeled it, because I live in Glastonbury, and this is definitely a town where there's a lot of astral, you could say, bullshit. There's a lot of channeling energy of people thinking they know. They're a little bit up the mountain, and they think they know, and then they're making a new format of something. I'm not talking in that way. I will definitely love to share from my own perspective as an ego, and a humble ego, but also a big ego, and from the light of spirit, thankfully, that is starting to permeate through me. I can share so far what I really understand about something as profound and deep as the Dharmakaya or Mahamudra.
Yep.
But the great masters, Tibetan masters, they will say they can point to the door of Mahamudra.
Sure.
But they cannot teach it. They can give you 2-day, 3-day discussion to help show you where to go inside yourself.
Up to the student itself.
And the student has to come to the self-realization. And self-realization actually is our Buddha nature. So for what is Mahamudra, to me, in a nutshell, is the place beyond duality. So duality is like how we live at this time is through the left brain mind a lot of the time.
Sure.
And then we see something and we have a concept and we try to construct and control to make an outcome. We manipulate. That's all in the old ways, the old paradigm, in the darkness. And it's very opposite to being in the Tao, to being in that unified place with the One that instructs us in each moment through feeling the presence of how to be in generosity, how to be in beauty, how to not be in an emotional reaction to the wound or the pain or the feeling of an obstacle, how to penetrate that. So Mahamudra could also be understood like totality. Totality of everything that's exactness, perfection, within what already exists without trying to push. So that's one thing. And the word Dharmakaya is our primordial wisdom state. It's another name for it. There's many names for the Dharmakaya. And so when I'm holding a Dharmakaya retreat, my objective, my offering from my heart is to hold a very sacred space for people to have the privacy to explore the shadow within themselves, everything that isn't love, where they have had attachments, where they haven't been in forgiveness, where they are in judgment of the self and others. So to come to our natural state, the primordial wisdom of who we really are in the eternal. So the Dharmakaya is like the eternal you that's stainless and pure.
Would I like embracing the shadows out of ourselves and the work on those shadows? Or
it's yes, actually, it is about the, it's not about embracing it and making it okay that tomorrow you don't go and slap your child or be rude to your mother, let's say. Okay, it's not like I embrace this part of me and I'm going to stay being like it. It's actually about encompassing it and saying, okay, I own my crap. I see that this is harmful. I'm hurting myself and others. Or I see my arrogance that's entitled and thinks, oh, I deserve to not have to wait in the queue. Let's say that was me I was talking about. To embrace that aspect of ourselves and say, okay, I am not really this. This is the false self. So it's like holding that place inside you and bringing it into the light. And that's a purification. That's like a purging process. You can sometimes, as the soul, everybody's going through this awakening. Certainly the people in my life and your life. As that soul, as your soul, and I'll talk about what the soul means in a moment, but as the soul comes in and we begin to awaken, we're actually awakening to see the shadow of ourselves and everything that's been around us. And it's quite frightening and difficult. And a lot of people don't want to get out of bed. Some people are even suicidal because it's too strong to look at it. Other people will drink a lot of alcohol, take a lot of drugs, or have all sorts of addictions to not want to face the pain of the shadow.
But that's a kind of a lesson, probably. Do you feel like the deepest shadow in us is actually the work and the lessons we need to craft in this life?
Absolutely.
And then to surprise the next level of lifting the soul to the next stage.
It's so true. This is true. And if you think about it in terms of the bodhisattva path and reality and commitment, we incarnate into a family and there's plenty of shadow. Even if it's a loving, good family, there just is by the nature of life itself. And, I see it as the purification is actually a conscious transmuting of everything that was not love and light and consciousness, because we've come from an unawakened humanity.
And then we reached the point of the golden age, Aquarius. So the consciousness is starting expanding, and the people start to grow, development, and there we see so much people starting to awaken really into spiritualities and into the self-work and alchemy journey to become enlightened ones.
Yeah, to return to the natural state. So the natural state, in China actually, they call it the real state. That is your Buddha nature, which you already have, which is God consciousness, which is purity. It's not full God consciousness, a speck of God consciousness, is stainless and pure. Naturally, we are that. That's the primordial self. That is the Dharmakaya. But our mind obscures that. You know, we keep thinking we're so terrible. We need to look. All of the matrix is saying, oh, you need this to be more beautiful or more spiritual or to be more appearing to be successful. You know, like we're being sold to every day in every situation.
To be conditioned.
It's very conditioned. Exactly. That, you know, so we're actually imprinted with we're not good enough. From even down to, you know, I'm a mother of 4, down to, but in me to find fault with my own children. All the fault finding that's gone into you, and that takes us away from our natural connection to the source of creation, to the Great Spirit. It's very deep what we're trying to unravel, what we're awakening to. You mentioned twice the golden age, and you likened it to the age of Aquarius, and I really respect it from that perspective. This transmission is actually completely to do with the golden age. Did you know that?
I didn't know. Now I know.
Yes, so which is why I love it, and it's the Kala Chakra transmission.
Stunning.
Kala Chakra mandala. It's a transmission coming from Shambhala to help humanity to actually really ground out the golden age.
Yes.
And so the lineage holders of the Kala Chakra,
I just had a goosebump.
I really pray that you can come and receive the Kala Chakra initiation teachings, because actually in September I have a Kala Chakra Zheng master from the head of this lineage coming to Glastonbury to help us to deepen our understanding of the Kala Chakra and the Golden Age. It's his whole life's work is committed to that.
So the 7 rays, does that relate to the Kala Chakra as well?
The 7 rays is related to absolutely everything in life. And it is a deep thing of my study. I didn't know. Have you studied the 7 rays?
I heard of it.
Okay.
I tapped into a little bit on the shallow spaces.
Okay.
And I felt like intuitively, I felt it's something.
You feel it's very important.
Yeah, and this aligns with the our chakras. And
it definitely does.
Yeah, so, and the duality, that sort of a subject. Also, as artists, it is very much, embedded. I felt the colors.
The colors. Well, I wanted, since you've brought it up, I'll come back to the Kala Chakra, but there are, the 7 rays come from the 7 solar lords. Okay, they're like the 7 great rishis that guard the universe.
Yep.
And each ray has a quality, a color, a tone, a vibration, and attributes and vices. So in other words, very positive energies, and also through it you can see the negative energies.
Yeah.
Each country is ruled by rays, and each human being, they have a soul ray, a mental body ray, an emotional body ray, a physical body ray, and an ego ray, a personality ray. So actually that is my study. Did you know that? That's funny that you should bring it up. So my study is esoteric psychology, which is the study of these rays. So I'm not going to go into depth about it today, but I would like to just explain something about the age of Aquarius and this moment in time and the new ray that's coming. So we've been through 2,000-year period of the age of Pisces, which was like the ray that was corresponding to that is the 6th ray of discernment. Discrimination corresponds to the solar plex.
So that's orange?
No, forget the colours on this, okay? Because the ray colours are different to the chakra colours, okay? Or the traditional chakra colours, because they corresponds to the esoteric chakra colours rather than the exoteric, which is what you see in a Hindu thing of the colours, okay? So, so the last 2,000 years, we have been learning as a race how to discern, discriminate, and how to prepare ourselves to be liberated off the emotional treadmill. How to stop taking everything personally, how to stop being in blame, how to stop being in self-pity, how to stop being irritated and agitated and the victim, the blaming victim, okay? It's very hard to get off the emotional treadmill. So this, you know, they say from the lifetime of Jesus the Christ, 2,000 years ago, the beginning of the age of Pisces, he asked John the Baptist to baptize him in the waters to symbolize for humanity, now is the time to purify the emotional body. And now at the age of Aquarius is the next ray that's coming to purify humanity, is the 7th ray, corresponds to the sacral chakra. Now the sacral chakra, if we look at all life right now, is a massive purification of pornography and misuse of sexual energy, of the violation of our children, the children. Many people that have been sexually abused as children. This is like the energy of the light of the avatar, the one, coming through, is bringing to surface the darkness that has been hidden around the misuse of sexual energy. And the energy of this ray that's coming, it's called the 7th ray, which is the ray of cosmic divine order and ceremonial white magic. So this definitely has a connection to the Kala chakra. Because now, you see, look at the precision in these gates that correspond to Shambhala, but correspond to our own chakras. What we're all being prepared for is literally this, you know, full-on purification to clean out the internal battle. You know, in the Kala chakra, in the Kali Yuga, they say every human that in reality is stainless and pure, connected to the eternal through their spirit. But when they took a body coming into incarnation in this time, that each of us have incarnated with the angel and the demon within ourselves. So that shadow that we don't like to see as the demon aspects of ourselves is that wants to take something, that never feels satisfied, that is always trying to get this next thing, rather than dropping into the presence to feel the presence of the one and open our hearts in gratitude and look at how can we serve, how can we support life, what can we do to really make somebody's day a better day. How can we stop this neurosis that's judging ourselves?
Do you feel the mind is a bit evil and the heart is the light?
I don't think the mind is evil.
Not evil, but it's intriguing.
The mind, is in the neurosis, but that comes from the conditioned imprints of what you took on board, that you absorbed through your mother, your father, the school that you went to, and then society and the media. You've taken this on board, and even your friends at school that was like, oh, you know, and they'd say something that makes you feel uncomfortable for 2 days or 3 days, you know, it's like, it's very deep. And how do we heal that? That's the question. How do we heal from the neurosis of the mind? And that's what I've understood anyway, that, you know, the Christ came and Buddha came and Muhammad came and every aspect of the great teachers who all are actually connected through the one thread. They came to bring a pathway through the heart of developing loving wisdom and compassion. And that's what we're working towards every day. It takes a long time to attain that. And there are 3 stages to waking up.
What are the 3 stages?
Well, the first is to get to recognize that you are sick of being harmful. Okay, once you realize, like, I am sick of this part of me that is in some emotional response that allows myself to be triggered, to then go into being harmful to me or others. But I don't have discernment, discrimination, and actually I'm now committed to sit quietly and look at my mind, which is meditation.
Is that a conflict within yourself?
Yes, definitely that. So in this first stage, you're like taking some deep breaths, you're closing your eyes, you're coming in a little, and you're realizing, okay, I'm just going to sit with me. I'm not going to avoid me anymore. I'm not going to carry on scrolling on my Instagram, my phone. I'm going to make the space to come into stillness and see what's here. And at that point, when you really breathe into that and you really give time for this, and you realize, okay, I want to be at one with God. I want to be at one with the Creator, the source of all light, all love, all wisdom. I really want to come home and feel in atonement at one. Then you start to notice your mind never shuts up. And you notice, like, oh my God, it just can't keep still. Da, da, da. But you don't beat it up, because you're the wisdom that's watching. And you don't follow the thoughts, and you stay, but you become aware, okay, I own the fact my mind is very judgmental. It compares itself, and it's constantly putting me down. Right?
Recognize.
It's just like, oh, I don't think my hair's that nice, I'm going to change the color, or I wish I had my boobs this size, or, you know, or my tummy's too fat, or whatever. It's like all of these things, right? So when we start to see that, then we say, okay, now I'm going to practice loving kindness to me, about me, which then suddenly becomes loving kindness to others. Then there comes the next stage within this wake up, which is like, I'm not going to join in that conversation to be bitchy and gossip. I'm never going to open my mouth to think a negative thought about another person. I'm going to say, okay, I see their suffering, why they're being so horrible. I don't have to say they are horrible. I get to understand they've got a wound. I forgive them. I have compassion, and I want the best for them. But that doesn't mean that you have to be the victim and stay in the relationship where that person's hitting you. Okay? So that first stage of waking up is coming into right relationship, actually, with your sexual energy. Because when you choose to only speak nice words, think pure thoughts, which is what the whole of Tibetan Buddhism is about.
It's about vibration as well, isn't it? The word have up vibration.
Absolutely.
So the bad word, result in
absolutely
better vibration. And
the
what
vibration
goes around comes
as Masarai Moto taught with the vibration through water, didn't he?
Yes.
Show, like, I hate you actually creates chaos in somebody's energy field. And I love you, I honor you, I respect you, and thank you creates the most exquisite geometry.
That's really, actually, it's a great point when we think about our media, mass media, and everything, the social media at the moment. It seems that always about creating divisions. And creating debating, creating different views, and the people throw words to each other, basically, and without thinking about consequence.
Exactly.
And without chaos, and the energies is that's why I think
so these 3 stages of wake up bring us to develop the discipline and the chi, enough life force energy to actually not engage within the battle of duality in this fight with another person, which is what Dharmakaya is. And the Mahamudra, it's like, there's no way I can engage in that battle fight with you. I'm not joining you in that place, but I will send love to you and bless you. I will even chant for you, but I am not joining you in your fight. Whatever you say to want to bring me into the pollution of toxicity to fight with you, I won't. And that takes a lot of discipline, doesn't it?
Absolutely. In Chinese, we have a sentence that the gold is the silence is the gold.
Yeah, that's true. Silence is. You have that in English too. Silence is golden.
Yes.
Yeah, it is golden because it allows the space for light and love to come through. So, this part's important. With the first initiation, first stage of wake up, what happens when you only are thinking and speaking positively? And when the negativity comes, you bring love to it rather than hate. Your throat chakra starts to vibrate clockwise. Mm-hmm. It starts to turn and radiate light rather than suck energy towards it for power.
Wow.
Right? And then that light spills like an arc into the sacral center. Mm-hmm. And your sacral center, the storehouse of all your sexual energy, starts to come upwards. Because now your sacral center, instead of going anti-clockwise into materialism and misuse of sexual energy, comes up to the throat, and then it increases your vitality, your energy, and your inspiration. You suddenly feel more artistic, more creative, and more intuitive. So that's the first stage of awakening. Now, a lot of people who are awakening think, oh, now I am enlightened, just because they went through this first stage of awakening. Yeah. And because they're more intuitive now, they become a little bit more psychic. Mm-hmm. And then they start trying to tell everybody, oh, this, I see this about you, da-da-da. You know, like that is...
spiritual ego?
It's spiritual ego, and it's called lower psychic nature energy, and it's not telepathy, mm-hmm. and it's not a high state of consciousness, and it's harmful still. So even in the first stage of awakening, you're still being harmful generally. There's not like you're suddenly like this harmless, impeccable. Mm. Second stage of awakening is how to get off the emotional treadmill.
Right.
How to develop spaciousness and calmness in your solar plex, because your solar plex is designed to be in alignment to the central spiritual sun. Mm-hmm. You know, to think of a sunflower. I'm just thinking of this. Oh, I'm wearing sunflowers today. I'm wearing these. Yeah, so the sunflower, I love them, as you can see, because I've got them in my kitchen.
Indigenous.
I have got, But we are like sunflowers. All flowers, all seeds in the darkness of the earth are making their way to the light of the sun. Every single animal on this earth, every single blade of grass, every leaf, every human being has their own intimate relationship with the heart of the sun. And the heart of the sun is connected to the heart of the central spiritual sun. So we're solar, this is it, we're solar beings, and our solar plex is often like a swamp of dark, muddy waters, because we've got attachment, we've got jealousy, we've got anger, we've got irritation, we've got blame. And actually inside there's a seed. Well, there's this disc, actually. It's like a disc, the chakra. And the only way that we're going to make the alignment to the heart, solar plex to heart, and develop discernment, discrimination, is when we bring our awareness to our stomach area and recognize that, okay, you know what, I'm filling my life with things that really don't serve me to be in stillness. I'm not even making the space for stillness, because only through stillness and breathing in and using the power of mantra, which I'll come to, can we find the clear space inside us to then feel the radiance of our own heart, which is unified with Christ consciousness, or very divine aspect of being. You could say even Kuan Yin consciousness. Mm-hmm. It's like inside of our heart is a gateway that's so powerful, that is all love, all light, all wisdom, all vivid intelligence. But if we're churning in the emotional body, in terror, just even of survival, how am I going to pay the rent next month? I'm worried, how am I going to eat? These are very changing times. The old paradigm of business doesn't even work anymore. Right. You know, people are going, I can't even do this anymore. And it's all changing. And then the establishment is attempting to keep hold within capitalistic, really sucking, taking energy in a way that isn't corresponding to the golden age. So it's not like the golden age is here tomorrow, even though the Kala Chakra lineage say by 2030, there will be enough people awakening on the earth to really make a massive difference to the future of this new time of telepathy, and where we actually know ourselves to be one family of humanity.
Yes.
Not in this divide and conquer separation state. So, but we have a lot, because think about it like this, dear sister, like imagine that to get to that point of being in the golden age, we're going through a deconstruction of what we think we are even individually, and then businesses are having to reset their motivation and levels of integrity. We cannot carry on raping the earth and profiting in ridiculous levels. In fact, my clothing business is a really good example of integrity. I really have to say that, because I chose not to supply Harrods and all the top designer stores in the world when I could have done, because, you know, they wanted. And then I realized, why am I doing that? If I do, I'll be in stress, and then my clothes will be so expensive, my own friends can't buy them. And these are my offerings from my heart. So I'm going to be making a much less profit and make it so that it's sustainable, that everyone can afford it, and ethical. And I feel that there's room for every business to come into a model of integrity.
Absolutely.
You know, we haven't got any choice. We have no choice. Everything has to come into cosmic divine order, ceremonial white magic, which actually means that we have to be so still and allow ourselves to unify with the one, to receive the instruction in each moment, so that we stop thinking that we know everything. Then we push out the divinity, and then we make our lives so complicated, so crazy, so unsimplified, and so unsatisfying, which is where we've all been. And then we are in this hungry ghost realm of thinking that, oh, if I get this, I'll feel a bit happier. If I get that, and we're always looking
external.
It's so just like that, and it's become worse since you've been a child and I've been a child, because now there's the scrolling on the phone, the Snapchat, the constant distraction for people. To not take time to be in that stillness, and to invoke the light, the love, the wisdom of the highest of high and the holiest of holies, to actually guide us into the right activity within the divine plan, because there really is one.
Yeah, as you touch about Mother Earth, I remember when I spoke to the indigenous leaders in the Amazon, they were saying, actually, as it felt like what are we doing now? It's like treat your own mother. So we always take. And then when we're gonna give them back?
It's so true.
Yeah, so imagine that. It was such, very, very true wisdom.
But it is the truth, isn't it? And you think of this now, you know, like, it's a lot of people, a lot of young people, you know, my kids range from 40 to 21. They are in that. I see it like this. An awakened person is looking to see, what can I give? Wherever they are in every single situation. And an unawakened person is looking to see, what can I take? And that's the truth. It's simple as that. How can I position myself in the power, and what do I need to take from this? It's actually groomed into us as the thinking in our unawakened consciousness. And one day when we come into the beginning of this awakening, actually, which becomes the dark night of the soul, and we go, oh my God, I was terrible. Like, what have I been like? I have been through that a lot. You know, really, I came into my own awakening in my 20s, but I'm here now at 60. And I'm still seeing the aspects of the shadow of having to catch the subtlety of the shadow of the ego that wants to position itself or wants to take. But I know my true nature is stainless and pure and really loves to give and is really, really generous naturally.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing all of it and owning all of it.
I think everybody have this pure, naive, like a pureness in the heart.
It's the truth. Everybody does.
Activate that.
That's it. That's exactly.
Within.
Yes. Yes, everybody does. That is the Dharmakaya. So not just, the Dharmakaya is one word, but you could call it the monadic flame of you. So basically, the highest point of your consciousness, you are made of cosmic fire. And you are eternally in the embrace and loving movement with your beloved you. So there's the masculine and the feminine aspect of you unified. Okay? Some people call that the twin flame. I don't really call it that. But that's how you exist at the highest point. That's why people are yearning for their lover, to meet them in that place. But first we have to meet ourselves in that place.
It does remind me your talks about the White Tantra and what is the secret sexuality and how it's really building that spiritual companionship.
Yes, that's it. It's true. It comes from that. So, because I feel compassion for so many people that their relationship is a mess, from scratch, not everybody, but a lot. And women are very frightened to even try and talk about sacred sexuality. And when men are awakening, they don't even want to have sex quite often.
Or attend the energies.
No, they just feeling like, because average normal sex, this is not White Tantra, average normal sex is coming from lust.
Right.
And it's coming from the need for release. Okay, because of the tension built in.
Yeah.
Some people get to the point where they're developing into sharing generosity and love and everything. But when I've noticed this, that when men are awakening, they often will go into, they don't want to feel the energy of lust and ejaculation.
But is that avoidance?
No, not avoidance. No, they want to learn. They need the time to contemplate, be in stillness, and to reprogram the old paradigm way of being, to transform it and transmute it so that their lovemaking could be an energetic, exquisite offering that's wholesome and pure, with purity, and that they want to begin to learn to retain their seed. But often women also have no idea of how to really support a man to retain their seed. And it all gets very hot and very heated, and then suddenly there's dissatisfaction because it's all, the energy's gone, the seeds are wasted, the woman's probably wishing that they could have carried on making love for another 2 hours. Because for a woman, often lovemaking is the offering from her heart, it's a prayer. And there's a lot more energy to sustain that offering of herself, because she feels her connection to God through lovemaking quite often. So, basically, it's a very good question, and it's just going a little bit into the topic of sacred sexuality. Sacred sexuality is a vast topic. I don't know how much we can cover of it today, but I want to just help to bring the perspective of what is White Tantra. White Tantra is not based on sex, okay? White Tantra is very different. So, there's so many tantric schools, just to say, as you probably all know, they are based on the left-hand path, the anti-clockwise spiral, or focused on orgasm and physical pleasure, right? And it's often very messy. because it starts experimenting. People are encouraged to experiment in bringing in other people into a relationship, and inevitably very few men on the earth have the mastery, the skill to encompass, to make each woman feel extraordinarily honored, loved. And, you know, in a high tantric state, I will say that when you're making love and there's absolutely no lust, this being, this highly developed yogi has absolutely no lust and is really nourishing you and seeing you at a very high soul level. When you experience that, if you ever get to experience that in this lifetime, you would want to share that person. You would want everybody you've ever loved as a woman to be able to experience this quality of love, which is true love.
Is that soul level?
Yes, very soul level. But it's rare, and I don't even think we're at that time on the earth yet. So what White Tantra actually is it is the purification of the mind. And through the power of, let's say, the Vajrayana lineage of Buddhism, where you call in and invoke, you know, the, let's say, Vajrasattva. Vajrasattva is a very powerful Buddha, the stainless white light, but his mantra actually purifies you internally like a shower and opens you to this nectar, this sublime bliss state.
That reminds me of your painting over there.
Yeah.
Is that what it sounds
yeah,
like?
well, that is an aspect. It is. That is actually, I must, yes, that is. Even if you look over there, that's not my painting, but that's the king of the Kala Chakra, the Kalki king, in lovemaking with his consort. So, you know, if you think about it, all of the Hindu and Buddhas, they will always have a consort where they're in union with, and it's actually, in the highest level, it's being in union with yourself. But when you have the gift to have that union with an external is mind-blowing. So how we can do to prepare for this is through purifying our mind and holding that space where we can see beyond the wound of another. Because how many men have been, for instance, imbued with sacred touch whilst they're children, softness, tenderness, given really space to listen to really have, you know, just that loving holding so that they know how to give this to another.
That's don't have that. They wouldn't able to give to.
It's, well, it would, or they start to awaken and recapitulate and come down and in to themselves. But, you know, if the conditioning's not there, or let's say they were always told that they're useless, rubbish, they feel inadequate, they're really insecure, they could have been abused, they could be just eating to block everything. Now they're addicted to pornography and they just don't have that skill set to even be present to the lover. They want to be. They've met somebody they're really attracted to and that person really likes them. But their mind can't be still to really meet that person. You know, that's an issue. That is what most of the conflict and why people just get divorced willy-nilly. They don't want to sustain because the person's triggering the shadow, them to see their own shadow. The person's mirroring for them to see their own crap, and they don't want to. So they rather say, get out of my life.
Yeah.
But White Tantra, you know, basically prepares us through power of mantra, aligning and invocation, will help to energize and vitalize our light body and etheric field so that we have an etheric energetic connection to another, and we can feel energy and they can feel energy, and then we can start to really authentically journey through each other. That's a lot of what my favourite work is to help people to learn how to journey through each other.
Sounds beautiful.
It is. To me, it's the ultimate. And in fact, I did, after the talk at Medicine Festival last year, I gave an online Sacred Sexuality workshop, and you can now download that from my website very inexpensively, where you can do this with your beloved. You can listen together. You know, it's very healing. And then there's a little ceremony at the end where you can do a sacred meditation together to connect on a chakra level, a light body level, and a soul level. And it's I've had a lot of feedback of people saying that they've really, really enjoyed it. So.
Telling about telepathic abilities, I felt like also we set the golden age of Aquarian. And then also there's a shadow side as well, misinformations, chaotic manipulations, you know. So I understand from your teachings, developing this telepathic ability, which we can discern the truths, identify as well the truths and manipulations, because I think it's just so important. I mean, we understand what is real out there, because it is very difficult giving among information, but with telepathic it's more like intuitively information. You actually tune it into your own wisdom.
Absolutely.
I mean, in that place you can really understand, identify. What else you can do to developing that intuitions?
Thank you. And I'm going to say about what's the difference between telepathy and lower psychic energy, and how telepathy is even related to sacred sexuality. So how I see it is that lower psychism is taking the awareness into the solar plex and then scanning another person or situation to take information and then intuitively think that you know. That's energetically what I found in myself when in my lower psychic days. It was like a taking of energy going in to somebody's field, which isn't really given permission of. Sometimes they would come to you and ask you for the information, but either way, it's going into their field to gain information. Whereas telepathy is like a translucence and an emptiness, emptying of being with, you know, like just empty of you, the ego, or you, the left brain mind, opening into union with source of creation, and then receiving a download. It's like a total download. And I'll give you examples of that, because there's some beautiful ones, which is, how did the people who created the Bach flower remedies, you know, these very sacred essences, discern and discriminate what this flower's medicine is, what this flower's medicine is? How did all homeopathy come into manifestation? Is through telepathy. Total stillness, and sensually and etherically opening to feel the transmission of, let's say, the pulsatilla flower, or the thuja, or the energy of the oak, or, you know, whatever the medicine of the plant that now we're distilling to take their frequency, because it's actually literally like each one has a frequency, to then bring healing with it. So it's like with telepathy, as a race, it's gonna be mind-blowing. We're just at the dawning of this time, but as we progress, there'll be a lot less need for words. It will be more sensually exquisite to actually just be with each other energetically.
Yes.
And there's only one thing here, because we cannot have telepathy when people don't want to have transparency. So the race, humanity, is going to be much more transparent, i.e. they have done their shadow work, they own their crap, there's nothing to hide, and there's definitely nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. That's the time we're in now.
Total naked.
Total naked. Think about about this. The whole of Tibetan Buddhism is about that naked state. That's why they often will show the Dakini naked, because she's naked and she's vulnerable. She speaks what's in her heart and she sees her own shit. So telepathy, you know, there's many layers and levels of telepathy, but actually telepathy is the stillness to feel the presence of the Creator Spirit, God consciousness, Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness talking to you. And how does that talk to you? Through silence. It's like, people think, oh, I want to hear God, I want to hear God talk to me. And when we go into the heart and we're really, really silent, it's like feeling this presence. And this presence, once you've felt it in yourself, that's why plant medicines are amazing. We can maybe talk about that in a bit, but basically what is incredible about working with sacred plant medicines is that often they will help you to feel the presence of the trees, of the clouds, of life itself, of the energy in the space that you're in. It's a whole other experience when you really feel the presence of the Great Spirit. So that's like an introduction into where we're going as a race, to have that much more respect, you know, from your culture in ancient times, your land, your people. They had great respect, but I'm talking ancient times.
Yes.
Okay, they did, you know, like everything of understanding the whole teaching of Lao Tzu and the Taoists, they were White Tantra masters.
Yes, that's right.
And I really, you know, it makes me sad because I know how much Tibetans, for instance, are in so much pain of feeling violated by China invading Tibet and all of that. And ultimately, we have to go beyond it because they're, you know, let's say, even in that one situation, which is a massive one, Padmasambhava, the tantric master from the 8th century, who I look to be my own root guru.
Wow.
Yeah, like really deeply. I love to pray and sing to Padmasambhava. I always invoke him to help me in all my work that I do. And he predicted and prophesied that when the iron bird flies in the sky, the Dharma will go to the west. He foresaw the time where the Tibetans will no longer be able to live in Tibet, and that the teachings of the Buddha will go to the west. And we, people like myself, have absolutely reincarnated here in the west, not in the umbrella of the Potala. You know, and it was scary to me as a child. I didn't understand, and before I was waking up, I was looking for my tribe. I was looking for my people. I used to say, "Mum,
belonging."
No, I would say to my Catholic mum, "Mum, when I'm older, do you think I could be a Tibetan Buddhist nun?" And she would like, "What?" And I didn't even know why these words were coming out of my mouth, actually, but I really wanted to be that. And now I understand, and why I have such a, you know, all the different Tibetan lamas and Rinpoches, I always respect, honor, I have a very deep connection with many of them, but I also see that we have to go beyond the wounds of ignorance and know that, like in Palestine and Jerusalem, let's say, thank you to the plant medicines that are actually making it so beautifully, gathering the people in one circle where the Muslims and the Palestinian Muslims and the Jewish people are praying together and know each other as one family and loving and sitting around the same altar, which actually brings us to the condor eagle, you know, because that whole prophecy is about people of all nations sitting around the same altar to pray together, which is really touches my heart, and I live my life in that way.
It's beautiful. I had a goosebumps again.
What? Goosebumps? Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, coming just to really hone that about telepathy, we are being prepared for mass purification, which will bring us deeper into stillness and help us as a species be able to feel each other's soul, to receive the transmission. Like if I was to sit in silent stillness with you, and really, even now as I'm sitting with you, I feel an energy coming through my brow center and my connection on the soul level with you.
I feel the third eye, definitely.
Yes, a third eye, exactly. I'm feeling it too. And this is telepathy, but it's going to become more, because the advanced race of humanity, as we come into the 6th root race, we will be able to feel each other's soul, feel each other's mental body, feel each other's emotional body.
How does that differentiation? Because some people can say like telepathy is reading others' mind. Yes, accurate. That's definition.
It's like one aspect of it. One aspect, and I have that. Like it's uncomfortable for people to be around me. Quite often, people that I work with,
right?
You know, because they know that I feel and can see them and what's going on.
But also sort of energy as well, because I have people around me which is very energetically high frequency, and it seems like each other projecting energies to each other. Because if I'm anxious, if I expect like kind of lower frequency of things of varying, it will projecting people around me. Actually, they will pick it up.
Feeling other people's anxiety. It's true. It's interesting when we look at our designs. For instance, they say that the projectors will, they're quite empty in their mind, but they feel everybody. I often feel when I go into a big group to teach or share some wisdom, I feel the questions. That's how I started to become a speaker, because I could feel what's not being spoken about. That's the anxiety and what needs answering. And it's so telepathic, and I'm just like, actually, I'm going to address this, because I would voice the question of the people that didn't speak it. And now I'm answering the question of the people who didn't speak it. So that's one stage of telepathy, is the mind to mind. But what I'm seeing in maybe 200, 300, 400 years time, I've seen it in dream states, and I've touched it a little bit, is then there's mind to mind, there's emotion, like melding, because the emotional body is pure, and then there's the atomic, physical, etheric merger, union, because basically telepathy is union. It's union. It's me unifying with this plant, or me unifying with these clouds, and really feeling them, and the transmission of them, and receiving them, and understanding that they have solar radiant light, and they are super sacred. They're making love to the earth, and I'm opening myself to feel the blessing of them. Then I'm being blessed. And that's not like wishful thinking, it's like real. And it is really important to understand telepathy in relationship to sacred sexuality, because when we are in a conscious relationship and we're in full transparency, and we are opening ourselves on an energy level of the meridian body, the minor chakras, the major chakras, the nadis, to open to be able to unify energetically with another, not hide bits out. It takes full transparency. It takes courage and light from the heart. It takes a tantric place of being an offering, to be able to gift that person with the fullness of your presence without projection. Or the left brain mind going, could you touch me here? Or do this to me now? Or, oh, I knew it was going to be disappointing. Like all those lower frequencies, to be in this like really sacred offering, which is so deep in your body wisdom culture. It's like going back to the origination of way before the conditioning of all sorts of things that have happened in China and all of it. But, whether it's Hindu, or each culture has many, many gifts, but in this last age, we've had so many blockages that block us as humans to be in this deep level. Yeah, I'm excited about the future.
Definitely. I mean, we just now touched a little bit on shamanism. So my question would be, how you define shamanism? Because, I mean, they're saying it's a religion, but I think it's a spiritual practice since ancient time.
Absolutely.
And do you think everybody should actually experience shamanic journey? And also, how is the master plant of medicine facilitate this journey?
Thank you for that beautiful, big question. So, firstly, it's funny, I got interviewed by the BBC to ask about shamanism and what's my belief around it, because they said, which I had no idea of, that it's it's grown 8,000% in the last few years, and people are more attracted to that than anything else. So that was a surprise. And you know, there's different levels of shamanism, and traditional shamanism is definitely a great practice to begin with. The basic stages: rooting yourself into the earth, unifying with the earth, unifying with the sky, unifying with the wind and the water and the fire, and then understanding that relationship of these sacred elements to you. That is beautiful. Shamanism can mean, and does also mean, the calling back of the places that you've abandoned yourself. So that's very important, and is very much the journey with plant medicines, master plant teachers as well. But let's say one of the things that I don't personally relate to with shamanism, so I relate to the fact that people go into a trance. They may, let's say the shaman, this is not like in a plant medicine ceremony, but let's say the shaman in traditional shamanism, certainly Western, because I can't speak for Siberian, because I don't know enough about it in this lifetime. But let's say somebody's drumming, and that drum beat, which is like the fast heartbeat of a baby, puts you into a trance, and they go into a trance. And from what I understand is quite often the shaman will go and so-called call back another part of the soul that you've abandoned or that's not attached to you or something. And then they give their psychic perception of that to the person. And often what I've seen is that that's quite astral and deluded, and puts a person thinking about the past before this life or something that actually I don't know if it serves them. Okay, so I'm not in that part. All right, that's not my practice. So that's why I feel the emptiness, you know, the difference with that high state of telepathy is you may get a download, but it's more a transmission of energy and a deep recognition of, you know, the royalty of that lineage of energy that comes from that person. But you're not going to try and put some psychic projection to condense, oh, you were Isis in your last life or whatever, you know, like it's so much vaster than that. And that's often attaches all sorts of ego things. So, yeah, to me, the great thing, you know, so yes, I see the shamanic unfolding, if it's helping us to connect to the Great Spirit and to understand the Great Spirit's energy and essence is in all the plants, in the sky, in the waters, and to have more reverence, more respect, to understand that, hey, when was the last time we made offerings to our waters? You know, when did we go to the river and sing the river a song and bring flowers like the beautiful Mexican people do? I love that. You know, but to understand that synergy and connection of all life, that's very beautiful. When it comes to the plant medicines and should everybody shamanically journey? I think to naturally shamanically journey within yourself, to go beyond left brain mind thinking and open yourself, and that could be through sound healing, through breath work, and through what I love to teach about and hold space for, which I do in my own shamanic ageless wisdom training, is how to make a conscious journey through your body. That's really important, because your body is the most magnificent temple that we could even imagine. Yeah. So sophisticated, so multi-dimensional, so, divine. And to understand that we've got gateways, winds, channels, so much going on, and how many people are making the time to journey through themselves every day. I really encourage that. That I see from the Vajrayana lineage perspective, to feel the energy coming up through your feet and how it impacts the back of your sacral chakra, and breathing in till you've cleared all the knotted turbulence in the solar plex, and journeying to really rest yourself in the brow center and in the heart center, and open yourself at the crown of your head to be at one with the creator spirit, to be with the Father. And to really understand the alchemical journey in your body, you've got to bring the awareness down and in. So that's a natural shamanic journey that can happen with breath, with light, with sound.
Right.
And definitely encourage that for everybody.
It's a kind of healing journey as well within doing that.
Yes, every single time you're going to heal bits where you ignored or were blocked. Yes. And you can really do so much healing with that. And the more you do it, and the more still you are, the more you're going to feel activations coming from the source of all creation, interfacing with your chakras, because there's a massive level of blessing going on. Really, at this time of coming into the golden age, it's big, and we're being activated, all of us. So that's a big part of my current work, is to hold the space for people to feel safe, to rest in their heart, and come down and into the body, and allow themselves to feel the blessings, which aren't my blessings. They are coming from the universal source of creation. But when it comes to the plant medicines, such as ayahuasca, peyote, hickory, washuma, and iboga, and Santa Maria marijuana, they are profound master teachers. And I see that each one of them is in service to the Christ, to the Buddha, to the ageless wisdom teachings coming to help liberate us. These teachings have been given in every single tradition on the earth, which are the teachings themselves, that is about the purification, the alchemical marriage that has to happen internally for us to transcend duality, to come back to our natural state.
It's also happened in the 1,000 years ago. The Greeks, the ancient Egypt.
Yes.
They actually have so much, recorded. They have been practicing.
They were. They really were. The plant medicines, I didn't even know that, actually. But I do know that they were hermetic and into the alchemy that we are really waking up to realize is happening today, for sure. So that's beautiful. But so these beautiful plant medicines, they are here, and, in a lot of countries illegal. And it's, a whole thing. And they're suddenly becoming super popular. You've got Prince Harry having talked about his journey, bless him, and I really respect that. And, it's sad how he's been demonized by the press, but that's another story. But there's, the thing for me is it's so profound and vast. And the question is everybody ready for it? I don't know that. Because to me, I feel like a good practitioner, holder of space with these plant medicines, absolutely categorically 100% needs to interview every person understand their psyche, where they are in their own spiritual development and awakening, really help people to prepare, really help people to integrate and actually have an understanding of the different stages of wake up.
Absolutely. For my personal journey, I think I did quite a bit of healing first. I really felt that you have to go through the healing process before enter the master teacher.
Yeah, well, you were wise.
Yeah, I think this kind of spiritual journey taking years to come. It's not just suddenly, okay, I have the medicine and it can connect me to everything. Everything's a problem solved. I'm awakened. And that's a very wishful thought.
It is wishful, but I mean, miracles do happen. I have watched that. And I would also say within it, like, you know, I have so much respect for Buddhism, to be honest, and the ancient Tibetan ways because of, let's say, for people to release the amount of DMT naturally that might have been released in a 3-year retreat into a cave to learn mantra as a monk or a nun or someone given permission by their teacher to go down and in, that level of DMT can be released after 3 years in possibly one sitting or one weekend working with plant medicine of ayahuasca, right? So this is to put it into perspective. That person, the monk, really did a lot of inner work to be able to navigate what he opens to on the inner planes. And he's got a matrix of light, the geometry and the blessings of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas he's invoked to give the safe space for this.
That's a proper alchemy journey.
It is. It's a really deep journey. But, you know, I used analogy of 3 year, but it could have been a 3 month. However, if you think about this, there are many people who were the monks and the nuns that did those 3 years in the cave previously, who've already made that journey, and they have these channels and winds open in their body. And the first time they come and sit with the plant medicine, they go into that spontaneous kundalini.
The touch into the psychic, the past.
No, not that. Not necessarily at all coming into the journey of who they were in the past. No, they could go into the spontaneous awakening, let's say, of their whole bodies going into mudras, feeling these portals open in the brow center, the crown chakra, all of the chakras, and they're going through an energetic, alchemical unification inside themselves because they've achieved the attainments in previous lives. So on that level, it's extraordinary how the plant medicines help them to fast track their at-one-ment, their union with the source of creation, and to help them fast track, recapitulate where they've been in previous lives. But this isn't like a storytelling thing. It's more an energetic transmission. And they just know, wow, I went to the source of me. I feel connected to the light, and that brings them again to like a Dharmakaya space where they feel safe because they're now not looking through duality, and they can feel absolute acceptance of what has come before in their lives, whatever really uncomfortable, difficult circumstances. What I see when it comes to the plant medicines is that what they can really get into the nitty-gritty of, all of the different ones I'm talking about, is this gift to help recalibrate and help to go into the bloodlines, to bring awareness into the bloodlines that we've been born through, and to really somehow transform and to transmute the unconsciousness through the bloodline. That is one of the big gifts and is different to a traditional path of awakening. They just go so deep to somehow lift something through your mum, your father, your grandparents. And I see it like this. It's like the more we can do this work inward, lifting the generations that came before us, the more we're carving the path for the children of the next 7 generations.
Wow.
And that is actually what made me have the courage to first work with plant medicine of ayahuasca back in, I think, 2003. My partner had just died. And I had had a Kundalini awakening in 94 to 96. I would have never, ever thought I want to work with a psychedelic plant. Not at all that way drawn. I'm not into taking drugs. And even though I absolutely see this is not a drug, even though it's classified as drugs.
There's a lot of misconceptions.
A lot of misconceptions. I do not classify them as drugs in my mind. They are, people take drugs, they get high, then they feel like crap.
I feel drugs are chemical involved. Plant medicine
It is.
Doesn't
That's
really
very
have
different.
It's
natural. But at the same time, they just can't, imagine if somebody who's got bipolar or a lot of trauma as a child suddenly went and picked a load of mushrooms, took medicine, or bought some ayahuasca on the internet. It's not a good idea. And people are doing this.
Yeah,
and
it's very dangerous.
So on that level, I really respect the government putting constrictions until it gets to the point where practitioners, and that is what we're on the turning point of, certain practitioners will become licensed to be able to work with plant medicines. And that is the prayer that many of us hold for the future, because it's needed that there are really beautiful, safe practicing ways. And so without it necessarily being clinical and done in the ancient ways. Anyway, but when I first worked with plant medicines, I did it because I saw that ayahuasca, for instance, is very telepathic. It's a plant, it's got an alkaloid that used to be called telepathy. And I really respected that. And I saw it can help weave communities together.
Yes.
And over and above that, I actually did it because I recognized there's so much dysfunction in the bloodlines that I've come through that I was willing to go to the next level of my own purification to want to help clear the bloodlines.
I suppose without purification, we cannot go next level.
We cannot go next level. That's true.
Yes.
So that's, I have enormous respect for them, but at the same time, I have respect for the reasons that they're not legal, and I don't think they are for everybody. And there's a lot of people these days working extensively with plant medicines, with people that don't recognize that this is not a sensible idea, that this person actually works with this plant medicine because they have a propensity to borderline psychosis, and there's a lot of fallout happening. So it's definitely a time for great wisdom and great guidance to happen around the plants, and massive respect.
So integration is very important.
And massive integration.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
Come back to your personal Awaken journey. So what led you to learning Ageless wisdom? I mean, the way of purification and the love initiation for past 28 years. How does that trigger you?
Well, do you know what? Funnily enough, I told this story earlier today, a little bit of it, and I will give you a snapshot into it. Well, it was because I had fallen as a person. I had fallen in my 20s, just wild, crazy. I'd taken different drugs. I wasn't a drug addict, thank God, but I had dabbled. I had called towards me real difficult, negative situations, and I was unhappy, and I knew that I'd fallen into hell.
Thank you for your honesty.
My absolute pleasure to share it. Yeah. I felt suffocated, and I was so sad because I loved somebody that didn't love themselves and couldn't honor me back. And I had now got to the point where I've now got 2 children out of marriage, out of any level of commitment towards these children. And it was a mess inside me. I didn't know how to, I felt like I violated something very sacred inside myself. I'd had abortions, you know, like I was just crazy. And that's, you know, a difficult thing to bring awareness now of going, where was I? How could I? What was I thinking? And at the same time, what, then have more children? And, you know, it's a really opposite of right relationship, opposite of alignment, opposite of sacredness.
Yeah.
So when I was in this place, I prayed. I said, please God, hold my hand and pull me out. And very quickly, I was offered a session with a living Buddha. And that Buddha, thankfully, recognized me.
Wow.
From my lineage with Tibet, and really honored my attainments from previous lives. But I was still arrogant and ignorant. It wasn't an overnight immediate thing like, oh, suddenly now I'm going to wake up. Yeah. I still had to do the preparatory work, which was the path of harmlessness. This is the teachings of the ageless wisdom and of this person to teach harmlessness. And so then I went from looking to see what I could take to what I could give. And I went into great humility to go from, you know, earning a lot of money per hour all those years ago to now becoming a cleaner, moving to Glastonbury, not doing anything psychic or astral. Yeah. You know, I could have earned a lot of money being an astrologer here, for instance, but no, I didn't do that. I went inward and meditated in a pyramid, had my beautiful sacred tools that really helped me to fast track awakening. This is a modern day Vajra, meaning thunderbolt, to cut through the illusion. And these are very powerful soul tools. And so I went into this thing, like imagine as a designer in London, my clothes in vogue, all of that, would mostly wear black. I went to burning all my clothes, giving away everything that I had that was really valuable to me, and coming to Glastonbury with 2 bags of white clothes.
And then you have all white.
Today I have all white. But honestly, I came to Glastonbury with, and I went through 3 years of only wearing white. Wow. And that was so cleansing to my aura.
For purification.
Very, you know, and then I started to actually realize, oh, if I wore purple or electric blue or bright yellow, I could feel the vibrational shift in me. And that's why I developed a collection based on color therapy eventually. Yep. But I still went through many spirals of more unconsciousness to unravel, and I'm grateful for all of it. Although I had a spate of something like 7 years where I had a cake business. I started making cakes in between breastfeeding my youngest son, the one that you met, who's now 27. Yep. And because, you know, I had pretty much no money, and went to a local coffee shop and thought, I'd like to make you a cake, and I knew how much it cost and da-da-da. Anyway, I ended up making 500 cakes a week and having a whole business and selling to QVC, the shopping channel, pioneering food, selling to Harrods and Selfridges and Harvey Nichols and Center Parcs. Like, it was cake world. Ate lots of sugar, which is obviously very damaging to the liver and really not good for us. And actually, the first time I drank ayahuasca, it was like the medicine of ayahuasca said to me, your dharma, your sole purpose is definitely not giving people sugar. And I stopped overnight. I did not go forward into that. But there was a big story. My own partner died of a road traffic accident.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
You know, it was a lot. My daughter was born. She was 5 months. And yeah, I was being like slapped, if you like, by karma in both a good and uncomfortable way to get clear within myself to the next level. And actually, you know, I hope this helps the people who are listening. The next part of the journey became a journey into my own heart, where it was all about attempting to have the courage to be who I truly am. Not like I'm something important, but to be really authentically me, to actually get out of my own way to allow truth to pour out, or light to pour out, wisdom to pour out. And, you know, I love when you talk about what leads you to your soul purpose. It's actually my heart. The journey into my heart through heartbreak, through all the grief of seeing the suffering of humanity. I have definitely suffered. I've cried so many tears in the past of feeling like other people's suffering and allowing myself to feel it. And through that journey into the center of me, then it became revealed of how I can bring alleviation to the suffering. What can I do to soothe people, to help people to feel safe, to meet themselves at the highest point of consciousness, to have the courage to invoke the light of the soul, to feel the voltage of fire from the cosmic aspect of our spirit, and to surrender ourselves and to own our crap and allow it to be purified. So I'm very, very grateful because I am in my purpose. And funnily enough, my purpose is...
I was about to ask you.
Yeah, go on then.
I see you.
To me. Go on, you tell me.
I mean, from being listened to, I will presume, Rita already found her soul purpose, for years. You know? I mean, so many people out there really searching that calling and what's the real purpose for them existence, and how they really connecting with the divines. And it seems like a lifetime journey.
It is a lifetime journey, and it keeps changing for all of us. Because I would never have really understood, even that teacher, that sacred teacher, who, you know, he said to me, really in that first year of meeting him, I haven't seen him in person, I think, for about 18 or 20 years.
Wow.
But at that time, he said to me, my purpose was to speak. And I had no idea. And he said, and it's not yet, I can tell you, you know, he was very clear about that. And it's taken me absolute transparency.
Yes.
And everything to come down and in. But our purpose, you know, this is a poetic way of saying it, but it is absolutely true that inside the 12-petal lotus of your heart has been planted a blue sacred jewel with many facets of radiance, and that's planted by the Creator. And inside that jewel is everything that is the offering from your heart that would bring you fulfillment. And I really feel that, you know, I feel fulfilled to be able to speak today and share some of my story, but also some of the ageless wisdom. I feel fulfilled when I'm painting a painting, but also when I'm cooking a meal. I feel fulfilled when I'm just sitting in doing nothing and appreciating the light of the sky and the transmission of all the plants and everything.
Yes.
But I feel fulfilled in what life brings to me every day. The only thing, I have to be honest, that I don't feel fulfilled in is, because it's a bit like trying to put an ocean into a kettle, I don't feel fulfilled when I'm asked to fill in forms. I can't bear it. The admin side is not my strength, but it's also like wax on, wax off with a Karate Kid. It's also helped polish me and ground me, because obviously it's very natural for me to go into high bliss states and be in dissolution and touch and drink from the fountain of the opulence of the divine, of the absolute. You know, that I can do. But what is really taken me so much, which is why it's been such a blessing to have 4 children, is the groundedness of Groundhog Day. Wash the dishes, do the shopping, make the lovely food, you know, wash the clothes. It is. It's grounding, and I'm grateful for it now. You know, I'm grateful for all of it.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you. I mean, as you touch on as an artist, I mean, you're a visionary artist, and also you're designing clothes. What's your artistic process like, and also what art means for you?
Thank you for that, because it's constantly changing. I've always loved drawing, and but what I loved drawing actually, when I gave myself permission, was doing tanka paintings, Buddhist tanka paintings. So I love to do like aspects of Tara or Padmasambhava or Buddha or something like that. It was very easy. But then one day I was like, actually, I really want to see what it's like to draw something a bit different to the traditional tanka paintings, which I probably did in previous lives. And so, you know, that was always a love. And geometry, I used to paint geometry years ago, and I felt very activated from it, and it's very soothing to my soul. But when my partner died from a road traffic accident, the lady opposite, she was a very exquisite silk painter. And one day I was taking a client that was a heroin addict to do some silk painting, because she was very good at it. And she wanted to do silk painting. So I said, okay, I'm going to take you. I'll come with you and we'll go together. And she sat there not wanting to do any on that day. But I did. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, I love it. This is so healing and therapeutic to me.
Definitely.
It's therapeutic, especially how fast it was and how the silk flowed and everything. So
feel magical.
It's so magical, isn't it? I don't often do it these days. But so all my art started that way. And every time I made a silk painting, people would want to buy it. So that was really helpful as a single parent to, you know, get some income. Yeah, so then it got to a point with my silk painting that I realised, oh, I'm hogging the dining table, because we lived in a very small house. And, you know, it's a whole thing. And sometimes it would take me 6 months to meditate on an aspect. Let's say I did this beautiful painting of Krishna Radha. And it took me 6 months to contemplate them in their union in this beautiful painting. And so it was always the thing, put the paints away, make space. I didn't have a studio. And then a dear friend, and also with the silks, I couldn't get the level of detail that I'm capable of painting. So a beautiful friend of mine bought me a digital pen and pad.
Oh, wow.
And that was like, oh my God, I'm really happy. It's like having a Christmas present I'd always wanted. And then I was able to sit in bed or anywhere I want.
More freedom.
And work, and you get the pleasure of the textures of the colour coming out, but you don't have to have loads of mess and put it away. And then I used to photograph my silk paintings and then put them into Photoshop, then elaborate them digitally by painting literally deeper into the face, etc., trying to keep a little element of the silk, and then print them onto canvas and then hand embellish them so it becomes much more affordable for other people to buy, like a piece of limited edition giclée that's hand embellished rather than an original, because obviously, you know, I can't do hardly any originals in my life. So that's been it. And now, I've just kind of did that. But 2 years ago, I had breast cancer. Did you know that?
Oh no!
Yeah, I did. I had breast cancer.
I mean, your life is full of events.
It's true. It is. Well, if I do a podcast with you, it will be very helpful for people if I told you my journey with breast cancer. I think so.
Yes, we'll live next time.
We'll definitely do that. But basically, the gift I gave myself after the breast cancer, the day after actually, after the mastectomy, was I began an oil painting. And I've never done that before. It was a commission, and it's of White Tara, and I didn't realize, because I had really been meditating and painting her. She is the deity of longevity, long life.
Right.
And you pray to her to remove the obstacles so you have long life.
It's amazing. Healing as well.
It is.
It passes.
So White Tara, I did this beautiful oil painting of White Tara, and I pray I can do some more oil paintings, because they are just so delicious to immerse yourself.
Listening to our wisdom and your journey, 3 decades, 7 decades, I find it so inspiring. Actually, it is truly empowering to me, myself, and lots of learning. I'm sure the audience who is listening to this conversation as well. I mean, thank you so much for the sharing. What's the best way for people to find you, and also what you offer at the moment? Because as I mentioned before, you offer online retreat and also, you know, the physical retreat, also learning. Because I'm sure some people, after hearing this conversation, will like to know, okay, I want to learn more about ageless wisdom and consciousness, you know, expanding my consciousness, and also how to, you know, to increase our telepathic abilities. All the things that is so important for us to embracing ourselves to the next stage of expansion.
Yes, exactly.
And you are absolutely a great teacher.
Thank you.
Although being so humble. I mean,
thank you so much. Thank you. I'm grateful. So, okay, well, you can get hold of me on my website. That's ritahraiz.com. And I'm sure that you'll see the link to that, but it's Hraiz, Hraiz, coming from my Lebanese mother. My father's surname was Punjabi. And on that, you can book to have a one-to-one session with me, like a wisdom counselling session where I hold space for you to meet yourself deeper and naturally unravel where the conflicts are in you that stops you from feeling spacious and in the clear light, or if any aspect of your life that you want support to look into. So you can come to my home in Glastonbury, where I also do like sound healing and take you on a shamanic journey, or work with me online. I work with people all over the world. I also have a couple of offerings on my website. One is a sacred sexuality workshop, and then there's another one on telepathy that's beautiful that you're welcome to deep dive into, and they're not expensive. I try to do a lot of work that's Dharma work that's for free. So for instance, on Tuesdays, that's something, because today's Tuesday, I've got to hurry up for that. Tuesdays I do a free circle of prayer at 7 p.m. UK time, and you can sign up for being invited to the free link to that every Tuesday. And that's deep, very deep, where I'll give a discourse about something, but I'll also make space that we can join together telepathically to bring healing light to beloveds in your family that you care about that are suffering, or situations in the world, or even for you. That's really my motivation with that. And then lastly, to say that if you're interested, please do look up the Ageless Wisdom Shamanic Training. You know, one thing, just before I found out I had breast cancer, I got this download that if I was to leave my body, this was in December 2020, if I was to leave my body, what would I want to leave to the people on my team, the people who are around me that I work with? And I realized I really want to bring in a training that articulates all the lineages of the Hindu side of me, the Christian side of my mother. You know, all of this is ageless wisdom, and then those amazing Buddhist trainings. And my understanding of the plant medicines, because I've worked with them a lot over the years, and to really help bring a grounded set of tools that people can then go on their own self-realization journey and know they're not crazy and have a measuring point along the way. And that basically is what my training's about. It's different discourses where you go on a self-exploration. It's not about you needing to learn anything from left brain. It's a journey into you. And about 250 people did it. And now we're just relaunching it. So it's a wonderful, I just feel so grateful that I didn't die and that I got a chance to download something that's precious. And I feel really happy about that now. So, you know, it just feels I was so meant to do that.
Yes, I think so. Like, I mean to, give you the message. Probably you felt the urgency.
I did
as well. What to do? Because I think we live in this time, which is everything happens so fast. We really need to try to illuminate from our own radiant of light to the others. So lift the whole consciousness.
Totally, it is. That's so true. That's how stars work. They illuminate light to each other, and you know, in that. I actually was, so when it launched was literally when I had the mastectomy. So each month I was giving the teachings as I was journeying deeper into me. And I didn't even let people know the first month, and then I did about a month or two in. And so it can help people on so many different levels of being fearless. And actually, it gave me the opportunity.
I think.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
a carriage.
Well, and that's it. Because for me, to be really honest, I got to deepen in myself. Everything I was teaching became a deeper level of my own shamanic practice. Like literally, you have to. It's not you have to, but I had to walk the talk. I did. And it's been amazing. I feel 20 years younger. I'm so much more fit. And I feel like probably in this decade, 60 to 70, I will probably be the fittest in my life. Spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And physically, most importantly, physically.
Absolutely amazing. Because nobody knows actually Rita is also a grandmother.
Yeah, I'm grandma. I'm age 60.
Can't reach out at all. Well, finally, thank you so much. Thank you. It was my great pleasure. And thank you for watching our conversation today. Make sure you subscribe and like this video.
Please, and share it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.